You're listening to the Flow Theory Podcast.
Talk to me about your recruitment process, Tim. I mean, were you just always going to come to Virginia?
Actually, going into it, people don't know I was a baseball first guy all my life. Like, never really played football until I got to middle school. So, making that transition, I want to say 6th grade, 7th grade, I was just like a guy on the team. 8th grade, I transferred to Oscar Smith. We had a house fire, and we had to move, districts and whatnot. So going into it, I know I wanted to, go to college because I had 2 older sisters, and one was at Norfolk State at the time, and the other she's only a year ahead of me. But, she wanted to go to school too. But, I've seen, my parents make sure they put them through school and, everything they had to do because they never stayed on campus. To keep the costs down, you stay at home, go to school, do what you got to do. So I just wanted to not be the third one, to have to worry about paying for them books and, whatever the case is. So my mentality going into it was I just wanted to go to school on scholarship. I didn't care where I went at that point. I just wanted to go on scholarship so my parents didn't have anything to worry about. So I actually snagged my first 2 offers the same day my junior year. I got Maryland and West Virginia on the same day. So, after that, I was like, wow, I got opportunities, and at that point, going into my senior year, I still wanted to say championship ring too. So I had 20, 30 offers, at the time, but I wasn't, times have changed, looking at the way some of these younger recruits and players carry offers and everything is totally different than how we did back then. It was an opportunity that we were grateful for and not, something that you would post or like I didn't make this is my top 5 or my top 10. It wasn't any of that. It was an opportunity for me, So going into it, of course, I had to narrow it down to 5 schools so you can take your 5 official visits. And my official visits were actually the first time I left the state of Virginia. So, I had narrowed it down to, I didn't know much about Virginia when they first started recruiting me until they signed Perry. So, me and Perry were super tight, always together. Whenever my mom had to take me on the 7-on-7 and take me up to school, we would literally drive by and pick up Perry every time, and we'll just keep going to school. Like, that was just our routine. Like, hey, P, I'm outside, and, we'll just roll. So it was more so one of those things where it was like, hey, bro, come with me, to Virginia. And I was like, yeah, well, my mom is very supportive, and because of me, she's become like a super diehard sports fan. So in high school, she didn't miss one game. Her and my grandma. She had every single game, and she told me, wherever you go to school at, I'm going to try to be there as best I can because she knew I had took official to Louisville. I had took official to West Virginia. So, like, those were, some of my top schools where I could have ended up. And to think about the strain financially and physically, her driving and, trying to make it out of games and everything that I put on them, I'm like, all right, well, maybe this might be a better opportunity for everybody, not just me. Parents can come up to see the game. If, anything go wrong, I can get back home within 3 hours, or they can come up here within 3 hours, or, I'd be there with one of my close friends that I grew up with. So, maybe that's it. So, I took that all into consideration. And actually, I went up for Perry's official visit. I went with him and stayed with his godmom because she drove us. And that was actually like my first time around. Even though I wasn't like with him throughout the visit, I was still on campus trying to get a vibe for the place. And that was my 3rd visit that I had set up. And, after that, I was like, this is the place for me. My host was Razad Davin, who was, from the same city that I was from.
Oh, yeah. So, Ross I was incredible. God, he was a really, really good corner, man.
Absolutely. And, I followed him, and it was a track guy, too. And, I ran track, so I'm like, all right. I'm here with Razad Davin. At that point, everybody knew who Razad was. So, it felt like home, so I went back and I was like, I'm done. I don't need to go on these other 2 visits. But that's where I'm going to end up. I'm going to Virginia, and that's when I signed, made the decision. And it was the best decision I could have made.
That's awesome, man. Glad to hear that. I saw you got the Bill Walsh. Coaching position. Talk to me about earning that position, because I love Bill Walsh. He's definitely one of my favorite football coaches of all time. A lot of it's because of the West Coast scheme and the way he would throw passes to the running backs and the tight ends. But I really just love looking at a lot of Bill Walsh quotes. And I was never really like a huge 49ers fan, but just a huge fan of Bill Walsh. I know he has that book that Bill Walsh wrote. I forget, it was rare. I forget what the name of it was, but I think you could buy like a copy on eBay for like $100 or something. It was expensive because it's kind of hard to find, and maybe you've tried to track that down. But talk to me about earning the Bill Walsh coaching position, dude. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, man, that was a blessing within itself, man. Just to have that opportunity, and for everything that Bill Walsh stood for is like the same principle, that a lot of people and coaches go by. So by me being up in this Philadelphia area, and actually the same coach that was a receiver coach at Edmonton through that whole little situation, that was Coach Carson Walsh, who was the receiver coach in Philly last year. And also Coach Mike Grove, he was the offensive coordinator that was in Philly last year too. So it was one of those things where they knew me. I still speak to them every so often, when we talk about ball and coaching and everything. And they knew my situation where, I'm at a school where it's a small Division II school, but I'm doing a lot. At one point, I'm coaching all the skill positions offensively by myself. As a young coach, getting into it, now I'm, picked up. I'm going with it, going with the flow. Making practice schedules, pretty much doing everything that you can't really get at a lot of other places. So, I spoke to them a couple of times. I was like, yeah, now I put in my application for it. I'm very interested in, just seeing the other side of the NFL. I've seen the player side, so I know the politics and, everything around it like that. But now I want to see, how it is to be on the coaching side. I want to sit in those meetings. I want to, pick guys' brains to a point where it's something that I can take back with me. And, it was just amazing. I was there for, I want to say 3 weeks, because it runs into football, our football season. We started a little early, so I was able to see the first preseason game that they had. And just to see that whole, operation day in and day out. I was in all the meetings with the coaches, and I was pretty much there all day. I was like, a coach for 3 weeks in the NFL. Which was unbelievable. Because,
that's amazing.
Absolutely. I ran into guys that, I played with or I know. Rodney McLeod, he was there. So he didn't even see me there until I was in the front row of the coaches and the meeting. He was like, dang, bro, what's up? And I was like, hey, man, it was good dialogue, man. That's still one of my guys. And also Josh Sweat, who went to Oscar Smith. He's younger than me. But
oh, yeah. Josh was an incredible player coming out of high school, dude. I know he had that really bad injury, but God, he was definitely one of the most decorated players ever to come out of the state of Virginia.
Absolutely. So, just to be able to, run into those guys, and, I had to give them a couple pointers here and there, when they would talk about guys who, might need to show a little more or pick it up here. Him being one of my guys that I pulled to the side, like, hey, man, you're going to have to pick it up, ASAP. You're on this little bubble and you're on the radar. So, it was a great experience, man. I actually took their the way they ran practice and the way they did certain drills and implemented that into what we did the last season as far as like camp and everything. Because, my coach, my head coach now, he was always open to suggestions. He was like, all right, now, well, I'm thinking about doing training camp different. I was like, all right, cool, coach. I got a lot of ideas. I got some stuff that I took from Philly, and it's the way they did it. And I was able to, explain that to him and the rest of the coaching staff. So it kind of helped everybody in full circle because now, my head coach, he did an internship with the Redskins at the same time that I was doing mine with the Eagles, but he was only there for a certain amount of time because he went for mini camp, but I went for training camp. So we was able to, bounce ideas off each other, man, and it just, expanded my vocabulary and me as a coach and drills and everything that I was doing so I can run myself like a professional pretty much.
That's pretty cool, man. It's always cool to hear any sort of insight, behind the scenes NFL like that I can't get like in the mainstream media. That's why I really love talking to all you players because you guys all have so many interesting behind the scenes stories. Talk to me about I want to hear your thoughts on paying college football players, college basketball players. This is something that Clay Travis has talked about on his show, Outkick. And he's talked about, he doesn't really sound like he's in support of it because he claims that college football is not a for-profit business. But my counter argument to that would be that if you got enough to pay these coaches millions of dollars, you can find the money to pay these players at least a couple of $1,000s a month, like a stipend. That's my argument. And I also wouldn't be opposed to the players getting some sort of long-term health care, like some sort of long-term health care insurance, something like that. But I want to hear your thoughts on paying players, Tim, because I know it's a very complicated issue with Title IX. Yeah. I think you could really drastically reduce a lot of these athletic departments and really just focus on the college football, college basketball teams and pay them if that's what it took. I mean, I would be in support of that. I know that a lot of the athletes and there'd be a lot of people that would be against that, but to me, yeah. I mean, college football and college basketball are the engine to the whole thing, So to me, they deserve to stay alive from a business perspective. So let's hear your thoughts on it, Tim.
Yeah, well, I agree with what you just said as far as basketball and football being the engine. But, still dealing with Title IX, I feel like if that was a route, they would just have to be subjected to use the money that those sports teams bring in. So like the field hockey bringing in $4 million, then that is the cap of whatever incentives each player can get. And it should be the same for every sport, so it's not like any crossing going.
Cross-pollination. So, yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, all right, well, you guys pack you guys stadium out and you'll get more money. And it just have to go from it, from that standpoint. But I do feel like players should get paid something because, like I said, once I graduated, I was in a gray area where I didn't have any money and I'm trying to figure myself out. I don't have, any kickstart or anything like that. I had a little bit left over that I spent on me to go training. But at that point, that was just saved up, financial money or whatever I could, hustle up, doing little side jobs, cutting grass or whatever the case is. But if you're really into the student athlete, you should be into their well-being after they're done, their duties. Pretty much we've done our 4 or 5 years, but what else did I get out of it other than, opportunity to play on the next level and a degree? And that's, usually the argument that everybody goes with is, oh, well, you didn't pay for school. I'm like, well, that's fine, but I also bought a lot of money into this school. So, I look back, I had magazines pretty much every year. I don't know if you remember the little throwbacks when we pulled out throwback jerseys. I literally did the same jump 200 times in a photo shoot after practice one day, dripping sweat just to hit the correct pose, just to be on the magazine for that week game. All the stuff that's on eBay, people,
like your pants that are on there for $49.
Like how are people selling? Like, what are you gonna do with the pants? What? Put them on wear one out? Even small stuff like that. Like
I thought that was hilarious, dude. I can't say I ever wanted like a pair of a pair of pants from a football player, like a jersey, like of course, but I thought it was funny that someone's selling football pants on eBay.
Pants is nuts, so even, coming down to stuff like that, even my senior year, I want to say I was on the cup for one of the games. So they're selling cups with $10. You pack out the stadium. Who knows how much money they generate? I didn't even get a dime. I got a few cups to give my mom extra. But, other than that, it's instances like that where even if it's incentive based, I wouldn't be opposed. Because, everybody doesn't, get put on the flyer or get put on the tickets or whatever the case is. But for the guys that do, that help generate, people coming in and they want to come see this player and that player, give them some type of incentive, or whatever the case is. You make all ACC, it might be $100 or, something, because you doing that, you're going to encourage the next player that want to come, the next recruit, next top guy.
Oh, that's a great idea, Tim. I never even thought of that. Giving incentives for the awards. That's an awesome idea, dude.
Yeah, it's a lot. Even so for me, since, I was I want to say me and O'Day Abushi were like the only two freshmen that played offensively any snaps my freshman year. And, like Perry, Roy, they all played special teams, but like I started probably half the season. I think I led the team in touchdowns, even though it wasn't like great stats. But, still coming in as a freshman, not too many people are doing that. So pretty much every week I was hosting recruits. So I'm hosting these top recruits. I was hosting Darius Jennings, EJ Scott. Like I was hosting all them guys. You'll get the whatever per diem money, for to get him a meal or whatever the case is. But it's like, all right, so now if he signed, you're going to sign because of the people you around.
Yeah.
So now technically I just did a job for you, signed another 4-star recruit. Now I get nothing.
Yeah, that's another really interesting point that none of the athletes have brought up, Tim. That's a really intriguing concept that you just dropped there, and I agree with you, man. That would be really interesting if they, if they gave the player monetary incentives. It's like sales, it's a sales pitch, So,
yeah, and that's all it is, and like I said, that helps the university in itself. And we doing that for free, and that would, I feel like, in life, when people have incentives to do things better, they do them better. So who's to say that, actually, when I had Darius Jennings as a recruit, my roommate had TJ Thorpe, who ended up going to UNC, but then ended up coming to Virginia. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe, thinking back to it now that we're having this conversation, is every guy we host and we sign, we get, a couple $100 or whatever the case is. Maybe the guy that hosted him, my roommate, would, took him around or showed him a little other places, or, took him to this restaurant more so than taking him to McDonald's.
Sure.
So now you bringing in more top guys, because now it's like, okay, I want that money. So now I'm going to do my job that much better.
Absolutely. I think that, really, you would hope that all the players like it, at Virginia, and that they genuinely want to show guys like tours of the campus and stuff. You know what I mean? But, I'm not ignorant to know that, that's not always the case. You know what I mean? Sometimes guys might just be unhappy and stay in certain places. A funny story I got for you, Tim. I don't know if you've ever heard of Cornell Parker, basketball player from Virginia, but I heard a story about Cornell Parker that I forget what recruit it was, man, but Cornell Parker was telling guys not to come to Virginia. That's what I heard like a really long time ago, dude. And you mentioning that story just kind of popped that into my head. But I'm curious, Tim, what restaurant in Charlottesville would you take a player to if you're like, all right, man, we got a big recruit. We got to make sure we get some good food. where are we going?
Oh, man. So, see, now I got to ask you, is this like a Friday night, Saturday night? You got to catch
Okay. We'll say it's a Friday night, and like the recruit has like just flown in, and you know, you've shown him around campus a little bit. And this is like a pivotal recruit, the hypothetical, right? But this is a pivotal recruit, and let's say it's one of the top players in their class. We got to have him, obviously, because he's a big-time player. We'll say it's a 5-star. Anyways, where would you take the recruit to on Friday night?
It's not there anymore, but this is the place that I got taken to when I visited, but Downtown Grill.
Oh yeah, I heard Downtown Grill closed, man. I never got to go there. Food there's pretty good.
It was awesome. It was awesome. I went out with the coaches and the whole staff, and it was probably me and I don't know who else was with me other than Raza. I think it was like 1 or 2 other recruits. There wasn't too many of us on campus that weekend. But it was amazing, man. Just the people, the food, and downtown, just seeing the area. Because we walked the area actually before we went into the restaurant because we stayed at the Omni, which is, you know, within walking distance too. So just seeing the area and seeing the different vibe and atmosphere, I really enjoyed it. But if you're speaking about like Friday afternoon, Saturday afternoon, probably Boiling Heights has good food and, you know, good atmosphere.
Dude, I love Boiling Heights, Tim. I tell you what, man, that over the years has been one of my favorite places to watch. I'll never forget, I watched a Virginia basketball game on the road at Notre Dame. And this was when, I don't know if you remember, Mariel Shyok, he hit a 3 in the corner to win that game for us. And the place just went nuts. And I'll be honest, man, like I can't find that same kind of passion like a lot of places. Like I'm a diehard fan, man. Like I go nuts during games, you know, like I'm yelling every single play, you know, and like the fans at Boiling Heights, it's the students. And you feel the energy every single play. Like to this day, like that's undoubtedly one of my favorite places to like watch a game because they sing the good old song after the game. I mean, it was just awesome. The food is epic. And man, those fans, they live it, they breathe it, like the passion. I'm like high-fiving random strangers in there. I'm like, let's go. You know, like, and then they also got the Virginia posters and stuff in there. I mean, it's one of the few places that feels like a true, you know, Virginia bar, you know, and with all the football stuff. I mean, I wish there were more places that had like football memorabilia in them. You know what I mean? But Boiling,
no, I definitely agree.
Boiling's definitely one of those that forever has a special place in my heart. You know, getting back to paying the players, you know, I just think like, you know, like I showed you the picture that I got taken with you at Meet the Team Day. Like, how cool would it be for like the Meet the Team Day that fans, you know, maybe you pay like $30 to get your picture taken with a player. You know what I mean? I mean, I'll be honest, I'd pay that. You know what I mean? You know, obviously different players would probably charge like different prices. Like Bryce Perkins this past year, like I was watching him at Meet the Team Day. I bet it was crazy. There was about a line of like 200 people. I'm like, man, I'm not getting in that line. I love Bryce Perkins to death. And he's the savior of Virginia football. But I was not going to wait that long. You know what I mean? But I totally agree with you that, I mean, how cool would it be, you know, for the players that are on the cups and, you know, how cool would it be for a player to, you know, let's say you have a stack of like really cool photos that you sign and maybe you get like 20 or $30 for a photo that you sign that gives you extra spending money for restaurants, textbooks, just all kinds of living expenses, or you could use it, you know, post college. I just, to me, I think that people that are, against college players getting paid, to me, it just doesn't make any sense. And I think that the tide has finally turned. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on the craziness of this upcoming college football season, which has really changed by like the day, Tim, in terms of the Pac-12 canceling their season. The Big Ten is now being petitioned to reinstate their season. But some people have said that basically the reason that they canceled their season was, one, they're not going to be able to pay for the COVID tests, and two, they didn't want to do it because of the players unionizing and demanding, a number of different things. What are your thoughts?
Man, my thoughts are all over the place. One, looking back to see how I would go about it if I was a player. But two, me being a college coach myself, I mean, our season was cut 2 months ago, but, still understanding that, this pandemic is going on. And I try to let my kids know, like, it's safety first, man. Like, I'm not trying to lose any of my loved ones, friends, players, nobody. So, I know, some people are, diehard football. They see football as their, only way out or only opportunity for anything. But in all actuality, you have to be here and present, alive for anything to happen anyway.
That's a good point, Tim, that no one said.
So if you're risking your life for the opportunity and something happens where you get sick and, whatever the case is, that might hurt you more so than anything else. Everything else we can adjust. Just like they said, for us, they're giving our guys, our seniors, an extra semester, another season pretty much to play. So everything can adjust, but at the same time, you have to be healthy enough and alive to see anything through, But it is definitely, a day-by-day thing, and I don't know how fast they are making these new tests, but every school is going to need them, especially, you dealing with football. They have to get tested often as well, and that's one of the issues we ran into at the school I'm at. It's like, all right, well, we ordered the test, but now the tests are delayed to come in for 2 weeks. So, man, we had to bump everything back for 2 weeks because you don't want anybody on campus without getting tested. So it's like, we can only do so much, and if that's the case, then let's cancel the season. And, of course, that, football and basketball is still iffy on what they're going to plan on doing it. But football brings everybody on campus. They bring all the fans. They bring all, pretty much everything. And, for the big schools to cancel it, it just made people realize how serious it is. They get big money in the Big Ten and, Pac-12. So it's like, for them to cancel it, it is serious. And it is more so than people make it seem. Like, football is not everything. It's not the end all be all.
Yeah, I totally agree, Tim. I totally agree. I think a lot of people are kind of just this whole thing has just kind of blown my mind, Tim, and just how people are just like, we gotta play. I'm like, guys, this is so insane. Like 160,000 American citizens have died already. And people are just like, I don't care. Like, I want to play football. I mean, it's kind of nuts, man. Like, listen, I'm going to watch if people want to play. Like, don't get me wrong. But I think college and the NFL are both absolutely insane to continue in this environment, dude. Like, I totally would have opted out a long time ago if I was a player. And, I get it how people say, like, well, we don't know what's going to happen in spring and, whether or not we're actually going to have a vaccine. But to me, that just seems like the safest option. I know that everyone's got their take on it, but it's just, it's crazy, man. It's just nuts. When this whole thing came out, man, I was just like, you know what? Football's definitely going to get canceled just across the board. You know what I mean? But I look at how it's been it's been such a split issue for so many people. I'm just like, this is borderline insanity. You know, it's crazy, man. It really is. And I love football like more than a lot of people than I know, you know, like it's been such a huge part of my life. Is really the biggest reason I'm a big sports fan was watching Virginia football when I was 7 years old. You know, I've lived it, breathed it, eaten it, slept it. But man, I mean, like you said, you know, you got to be alive to like live to fight another day. And that is really my philosophy on it. And sounds like you totally agree. What exactly are you doing in the meantime, Tim? I know you're the offensive coordinator. Where exactly are you, at Lincoln?
Yeah, I'm at Lincoln University. It's a D2 in the CIAA. We're like the furthest north, so we play the Virginia State, Virginia Union, and North Carolina teams. And there's one team, Bowie State here in Maryland. And offensive coordinator, man, and you know, just trying to change the program around. This program that was down for a while. I think they just brought football back in like 2008 or something. So, you know, this is going on my third season. Would have been third season this fall. So, you know, the first 2 years I've been there, man, it's been, you know, a process of changing that place around. Man, they didn't have any type of support system for the football players. Like, it was just totally new. So that was the opportunity for me to jump in there with the new head coach, because we all got there together and kind of implement some things that, you know, that has to happen at a university, as far as, you know, having an academic coordinator, which they did not have, which is crazy to me. And that was one of the reasons they had like a lot of turnover and they had retention issues. And just having a strength and conditioning coach, we hired one of those. But it's like, you know, there's a lot of places where, you know, a lot of student athletes do not have the same resources as others, yes, but some of them is way worse off than us. So that's why, man, I'm here, man, trying to change this place around and trying to implement some stuff. So whenever I do leave, I can look back like, man, look, they didn't have a lot of stuff when I first got there. And by the time I left, a lot of stuff has changed, even though it might not show it in the win-loss record. But, you know, I got players where I had one of my freshman receivers I recruited last season. He came in, killed it, was all freshman team, all conference, and he jumped up D1, you know, a few months ago. So, you know, even small stuff like that, man, I'm all for the kids and all, you know, try to help them out as much as possible. But they're not kids, but, you know, student athletes.
Right. So, what is your schedule like now that the season's been canceled? Are you doing like a lot of recruiting constantly and just kind of trying to develop stuff for next year?
Yeah, pretty much. You know, recruiting is hard right now because now you got to think of who you can recruit, you know, because now a lot of junior colleges aren't playing either. They canceled all of that. So a lot of guys may not have film, or, you know, maybe was looking for a film in the fall. So you kind of like backtrack, recruit basically. Because I had quite a few guys that were like, Coach, you know, I'm going to stay at JUCO another year, or, you know, they had some other academic issues, which is fine, but now all that stuff changes. So recruiting has changed entirely.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Yeah, so especially when it comes to you saying that, you know, you want to have a season in the spring, okay, and these high schools are going to play in the spring, okay, cool. So how are we going to recruit if we're playing and they're playing? Like, there's not enough time in the day, you know, other than us recruiting by the computer or by phone, fine, but I'm trying to go see people in person. I'm trying to do some at-home visits. You know, I want to get a feel for somebody before I bring them, you know, on campus to this family. So, you know, all that stuff has changed, man. I just been literally work from home on Zoom calls all day, you know, and we started school online today. So today was a little hectic because, you know, like you were saying before, in the last week, everything has changed every single day. So we had to have meetings and go back and like, oh, well, we know we said this on Monday. Well, it's Wednesday and this changed. Now we got to do this. You know, it's just so much uncertainty. So, you know, I'm just trying to get my playbook and stuff together ready for whenever we do play again, and, you know, just take it from there pretty much day by day at this point with, like I said, all the changes and all the adjustments going on. You really can't set a plan for anything right now. So, you know, even, you know, speaking about us playing in the spring, it's like, okay, it's dangerous for, student athletes or professional athletes to play in the fall, yes, but it's more dangerous as a player playing 2 seasons in 1 year.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And you're saying that, okay, you want to play in the spring, but student athletes may have a month off and then go right back into summer workouts for a month and then camp and then play another full schedule. Man, I physically couldn't. I don't know about these athletes, these new days athletes, but I can do it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tim. Who knows? Maybe they'll just end up pushing the whole year just back a full year, But like you said, dude, it's totally going to mess up the whole recruiting calendar. And then if there's some conferences that play in the fall and then some that play in the spring, I mean, this is just, it's total madness, Tim. This is one of the most chaotic times, for a number of reasons, but
absolutely,
the recruiting calendar for football is just man, pick a card, man, because it's changing daily. I got one more question for you, Tim, and then I'll let you go. I really appreciate all the time that you've taken. One question I got for you. I think this guy is absolutely insane to want to play. I watched the E60 on Alex Smith, Tim. Please tell me, Tim, that you think that Alex Smith is 100% certifiably insane for wanting to play tackle football with grown men in the National Football League after suffering one of the most horrific sports injuries I've ever seen in my life.
Hey, all I'm going to say is each his or her own, because I couldn't do it. It's more, like I said before, it's more to life than just football. So you putting yourself out on the line every Sunday, not even every Sunday, every practice for a game that could potentially, if he has that same injury 2 times in a row, he might not be able to walk.
He's in a wheelchair forever, Tim.
And that's not something that I'll be able to live with. Up until this point, he's made a lot of money. He's did a lot of stuff. So it's man, listen, everybody's window closes at some point. Don't stay in that window too long to a point where you hurt yourself.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Tim. Alex Smith has had a very solid career. And, quite frankly, with Jay Gruden gone from the Redskins, I think that the quarterbacks there will have a higher chance of succeeding. Was never really a fan of Jay Gruden, either of the Gruden brothers. But Alex Smith had his best time with Andy Reid, Tyreek Hill, and Jim Harbaugh really helped him to turn the corner in San Francisco, too. I totally agree, man. You made all that money. You've had a much better NFL career than most quarterbacks could ever dream of. There's something to be said for being content and just hanging it up, man. I cringed when I saw that Alex Smith and his family hey, listen, you guys should totally be popping those champagne bottles. But after you pop those champagne bottles, Tim, I want you to take those cleats and take those pads and hang them up forever, brother. That guy is a walking science experiment, my man. Do you realize that he spoke to a group of orthopedic surgeons in Virginia, Tim, because he had 15 or 16 surgeries, an ungodly number of surgeries, Tim. He's lucky to be alive. He was septic. Man, you've got to watch the E60 on Alex Smith, dude. I cannot believe that guy wants to play again, man. He's crazy, dude.
Yeah, I would check it out, man, because surgeries alone are dangerous, man. I had my ankle done my second year. That's why I missed the season, when I tore my ligaments. But, even that surgery was a 2-hour surgery that turned into a 6-hour surgery that turned into, me not having any ligaments. So now I had to get cadaver parts in me. So man, look, it's a thing where, some people don't wake up from surgery. Whatever the case is, just to put yourself in that predicament over and over again, I can do it.
Yeah. I think Alex, I wish I could sit down with Alex for just give me 5-10 minutes, but I know there's no way the doctors are oh man, go on out there, Alex. There's no way his orthopedist is telling him that. I mean,
no. And his better days are behind him. His better playing days are behind him, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just something to be said for, you've had a great career. You've made lots of money. You can still walk. And you know what? If you want to toss the ball in the backyard with your kids, hey, go right ahead, man. But strapping on the pads and playing full contact tackle football with grown men in the National Football League. He's absolutely insane. Listen, I hope he doesn't get hurt. I mean, I really don't. But, man, he is really putting a lot on the line. But
that's for sure.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate you taking all the time to talk with me, Tim. I really appreciate all the memories of the CFL and hearing about the pros and not only that, hearing your thoughts on paying college players, man. That's something that I love talking to all the players about and just hearing your guys' thoughts.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Appreciate you having me on.
All right. Thanks a lot, Tim. Take care and stay safe during all these times, man.
Yes, sir. You too. Thank you.
See ya.
Listening to the Flow Theory Podcast. You can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and TuneIn.